Hello everybody, my name is Eric. Welcome to the shop. We are making a violin. In this first episode, we're going to be going over the templates I'm making, the wood I'm using, and the goal of the project. So I've never made a violin before. I thought it would be a great challenge to try to make one, and so here we are. So, templates. There's this great website. I'm using the PDF version. The website is a little bit clunky, I feel. So we are using the template. This is the template for the mold. This Stradivari, the Messiah, 1716. Once I get my bandsaw working, I'll cut this out in plywood. Right now, what we are making is the half mold. This will be mostly used for marking the corner blocks. I just have to cut out this C-bout. This is in plexiglass. It has this blue painter's tape on because I super glued the template around the edge to give me this secure platform, and I didn't want to damage the actual mold. So once I get this cut out, it will be nice, and I will show you that later this episode, which will likely be several days from now. But if we go over here, I can show you the wood we're using. We're going to be doing a spruce top. I don't have the spruce yet, so I can't show you that, but I have the cherry that we're going to be using for the sides, the bottom, and the neck. Here is our neck, or not our neck cherry. God, this would be a very skinny, wimpy neck. No, this is our sides, our ribs, garland, whatever it is. This is the chair we're going to be using for that. This was an offcut from a table me and my father made, dining room table that we have. And then we have more cherry here. This is the cherry that is going to be made into another table, also in the dining room, but not the dining room table. And there'll be offcuts from that for the back. And it's thick enough; it'll be fine. We're gonna try to do a hand carved. Let me study you for a moment. A hand carved fingerboard out of this ipe wood that I have here. We have lots of ipe. Some guy was tearing up his deck made of ipe. Ipe is very rot resistant. Has great properties like ebony. It's denser than, actually I don't know if it's denser. I know it's harder than ebony, and I think that's very good for a fingerboard characteristic. In terms of its density, probably denser, but that's not necessarily true. Nor is it as important as the hardness. So that's the wood we're going to be using. There's actually not too much else going on at this very moment, but flash forward to hopefully tomorrow when we'll pick up the rest of this episode. We'll see the mold coming into shape. I want to bring you guys back for a little bit more tonight just to show you me finishing up this template. Got the C-bout cut, and we are just proud of the line because we're going to file down the rest of the way. I have it in my bench clamp here, and we're just taking it very slowly and bringing it down to the line. Being very careful to make sure that we are square in this direction. And then once I have this done, our template will be, I actually have to cut out these notches. And then I'll have to mark these lines so that when I take the paper off and the tape, I'll be able to mark those as well. But then we'll have a completed mold. I'll see you then. And here she is, the final piece. If you'll notice, the difference between this and the actual paper template is that I added these, or I filed in these holes because I was worried that would create some stress concentrations and just crack the plexiglass. If this was aluminum, I would just leave it at the V's. But there we go. I am pleased with this. It matches up very nicely with our template. Kind of hard for me to match this up here with one hand, but there we go. Hello and welcome back. It's been a while since we've been working on the violin, or since I brought you along. In the time, I finished the mold. And sitting right over here is the material I'm going to use for the corner and end blocks. I actually haven't even checked if it fits, so let's find out. I'm going to be using, if you can recognize it, basswood. This doesn't really make much sense. The traditional material is spruce, of course. I do not have any spruce on hand. The spruce for my top is going to come in the next couple of days, and I don't know if there's going to be enough of an offcut from that. So, let me see. Oh, this is perfect. This is just a hair bigger than the end blocks. So, I'm going to use this basswood. Now, I chose basswood for the specific reason that it's easy to carve, easy to work with. From what I read, the material of the corner blocks doesn't seem to matter so much. Reading around on some forums and such, the grain of this wood isn't in a particularly great direction. Could try cutting it that way. I'm not sure I'd have enough. Well, no, I have all this material. Yeah, I'd have enough. That might be cutting it a little close, but we'll see what happens. So basswood, I'm excited about that. Maybe I've discovered the secrets of violins. This is what we will use. Yeah, I'm gonna get that cut out. I got my hide glue and my other materials, and we're just gonna keep chugging along. I'll bring you along when something else happens. It's a lovely Friday evening in the shop. We've got all of our corner blocks a little bit misplaced, but all cut out. Our nice basswood here, fitting up nicely to the mold. I have my hide glue actually done. I've just been kind of waiting. I haven't used this stuff before. But it's at a syrupy consistency, and I'm going to say that's about it. I'm going to let it sit for a little bit more. I hope it was the right amount of water in there. There's a little bit extra that I poured off. And here is the spruce top. I have spent a good bit of time with this nice hand plane. We've had this hand plane for a while, and I took the time to sharpen the blade. Haven't sharpened any blades before, but I'm loving working with this stuff. I don't know if this is as thin and as skinny as it should be, but I feel like these are nice curls. I almost want to eat them. They seem like scoops of ice cream, kind of. They've just been littering my floor, and most of them have even made it into the garbage. And by most, I mean not most. Don't know why I said that. I have them sitting nice and purdy there. Focuses. Took a lot of time to get that fit. It's not perfect. I just kind of dislocate them on the top. But I can't see any daylight through them. And by daylight, I mean that light. But I can't see any light through them. So I'm going to call that good. I'm going to get these glued up. I am pretty sure it's okay and probably preferable to use wood glue because this is a permanent bond. So I'm going to use wood glue, and if I'm wrong, someone can yell at me in the comments below. And then after I get that glued and clamped, I have plenty of clamps, but I'll figure out what clamps I'm using, get that glued and clamped, then this will for sure be ready. I got this nice crock pot, $4 at the thrift store. Absolutely amazing. This lid does nothing, but it's there because I wanted to. So, alright, I will see you when that's clamped up. All glued and clamped up. I'm a little bit concerned. I'm not seeing any glue spill out here. And by a little bit, I mean pretty substantially concerned. I'm seeing it over here, and I didn't think I had some gap, but it must have been something internal. I had the whole thing coated in glue. I used this little spreader, and as you can see, we got some on the top here. So, yeah, I don't know. Concerning. Well, move on to the hide glue and the corner blocks now. Alright, well that went not as well as I wanted it to, but we made it through in the end, only gluing the long edges here, because we will have to separate these, which is why, since I've never worked with the hide glue before, I wasn't sure how this would work out, and I don't know, this stuff is pretty strong from what I've seen of it. It's of it curing for only a few minutes here. I use this little F clamp on the top and bottom blocks. I found these holes here that I've cut are just a little bit too far up, and so they pull this block a direction. So there's a vector pushing it up, and it will never sit flush against it. I actually just cut this block like shit, so it's not lining up there. But the other ones, I got the A, more, and the A, the B, and the D more or less lined up. The D is also kind of shit, but a little bit better. It'll be fine though. Not the biggest problem. I definitely think I will move these holes down and these ones up though. So maybe cut a couple more holes and then connect it, make a little bit of an oval shape there. But yeah, there she is. Nice. This guy's still gluing up. Couple comments on the hide glue. Wasn't quite sure about the consistency. It was losing a little bit of water, so I kept adding a little bit back in with my brush, and I kept my brush in the outside here because I didn't want the other glue drying up on the outside. Oh no, I got glue on my jar. Yeah, I didn't want the other glue drying up on the outside of the brush while I was holding down those blocks. From the tutorial I'm following, or the PDF, just says hold it down for 30 seconds and then let it dry overnight. So gonna hope that's gonna work out, and I have no one to blame but myself if this fails. But it's almost midnight, so I'm gonna go catch some sleep, and I might call it here for part 1, and then in part 2 we will start getting the rough form of this down. We will work on the ribs primarily. That's going to be our focus, is ribs. I have some ideas for making a rib bending device, but that's all for next episode. Until then, let me flip this around. And of course, in an attempt to flip around the camera, I stopped it. So I'll see you guys for this episode. I hope to catch you in the next one. This has been Eric Trimber. Bye-bye.